Hello, fight fans, and welcome to the Combat Challenge podcast. My guest is a middleweight MMA athlete with a professional record of 5 wins and only 2 defeats. He competes on Cagewarriors promotions and fights out of SBG Manchester under the guidance of head coach Matt Inman. He is the former Almighty Fighting Championship middleweight champion, the former Cagewarriors middleweight champion. He is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu purple belt and a black belt in Judo, Mr. George Smith. George, thank you so much for joining us, my brother.
Yes. Yeah, good to speak to you as well. Been a long time.
Well, did you like that introduction, my brother?
I loved it. Yeah, I was thinking I sound pretty good. I don't usually talk about myself in such high esteem, so.
Listen, George, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it. It was only the other day I got in touch with you and you were on it straight away, so it's really cool, man. Now, the first thing I want to talk to you about, George, your last fight was on Cagewarriors 114 against Matthew the Beast Bonner. Yeah. What did you know about Matt? What was the preparation? And then if you can talk us through the fight as well, my friend.
Yeah, so I knew he was fit, strong, tough, like probably what everyone said about him, what I've seen about him. I kind of knew what it was about. I never thought it was going to be an easy fight. I think it's probably my best fight, as in the most I've learned from, the fight I've learned most from, because it's taught me a lot about what I need to work on and like just where to go from here, and just have a real look at myself. And really, I can't afford to perform like that, you know, at a level like Cagewarriors. And I mean, Matt's gone on and he went to beat my coach Matt, and he went to beat James Webb as well. So he doesn't look like a bad fighter, but it's just I see myself better than Matt. I see him as a legitimate fighter and a tough test for anyone, but I see myself better than him. And so I just have to look at myself. It's only my fault really why I lost that fight. So I just going forward now, I can't afford to perform like that.
And talk us through the fight itself, brother.
It was a bit flat. I felt a bit flat in there generally in the first round, and it was one of them first rounds that I wanted to see the back of. But then in the second, I felt good. You know, I won the second round. I felt good on the feet. I don't think he couldn't impose himself on me. I took him down. I had a few submission attempts, and then the third round, it was just it started well and ended pretty badly. So it was a fight I definitely learned a lot from, but a fight I knew was going to be tough. But you know, Matt definitely showed why he's what he is, and obviously he worked extremely hard because he was extremely fit. But yeah, I see it more as my bad performance. But Matt just does what he does, and he's very good at what he does. Like he's always in your face. He's always hard work. But he just did what he does best.
For sure, bro. And you mentioned that he fought Matt Inman as well. I think that was that Matt Inman's comeback fight.
It was, yeah, which is a tough fight for Matt to take, to be honest. You know, a guy who's been so active like Bonner, it's tough. He's been, when you've had a bit of time off, coming back in against someone who's fit and ready to go, and he's coming off wins as well. But I thought that was a great fight. Better to watch than the fight I had with him. But anyway, it was an entertaining, like, toe-to-toe match. I thought it was a good fight to watch. But horrible for me. I didn't enjoy it. But if I was a neutral, I probably would do.
Yeah, for sure. And Matt's, like you said, you know, and then he fought Webb. He beat Webb. And now I don't know if he has or if he's knocking on the door for a title shot. I don't know what stage he's at now.
I mean, he should be. You know, like he's earned it. He's not walked in. He's not that type of guy who's ever going to walk into title shots because he's not brash. He's not this. He's not that. But he's just tough, and he just does what he does. Like he's like a workman. He's a workman on a type fighter. He'll never wow you with what he does, but he's going to always be in your face, and he'll always bring everything that he's got, which is that's why it's such hard work.
And is the current middleweight champion Nathaniel? Is that right?
Yeah, Nathaniel Fredericks. Yeah, he just seems to be knocking everyone out, finishing people at the minute. You know, he's got a lot of power. I remember remember seeing him back in the day. I've been around for quite a while. And I remember seeing him watch. I was young when he was fighting like Avi Jack on Cage Steel, I think it was. And I was never overly impressed with him, but he's obviously worked hard, and he's come through to be a real force at middleweight. He's bigger, he's strong. He's got very strong hands. It's hard to take down, so he's just tough. It's a tough. Over 5 rounds, he's going to be horrible for anyone to fight, I think.
Yeah, for sure. And is there anything in the pipeline, or have you got any dates that you've got in mind that you want to go back in?
Yeah, so I wouldn't have taken a fight on the last batch of Cagewarriors fights and the one before. I didn't feel ready personally, like I was. I wanted to get myself up, so I don't want to get back in there and again and not perform how I feel like I should. I don't mind losing, but not performing is a big thing. Like you can lose as long if you've performed and you've lost, you've done your best. There's nothing wrong with that. That's competing. But losing when you don't feel like you could give your all, or you gave your all, that's not a good place to be in. So I feel like I've gone away now in June. I've signed a fight for June 24th, and I'm just waiting for Cagewarriors to release it, really, and then yeah.
Oh, awesome! Is that on the trilogy they're doing in June? Yeah.
So I should be on the first night, the Thursday. But I'm just excited to show my improvements. To be honest, I feel like I could have. I've said this to many people. I feel like I could have practiced every technique in the world until I was blue in the first. Like I could have improved every part of my game technically. But if you don't bring the performance on the night, there's no point improving in them areas. So you could have all the skill in the world, but you've got to perform, especially at that level. And I feel like I'm in a better place now to perform. Like that's good to know. Like I'm not gonna turn up, perform badly. Do you know what I mean? I'm gonna turn up and give my all, and that I feel like I'm ready to perform like that in June.
Brilliant, brother. Well, on that, when you've had your fight on that Thursday, brother, on Friday you need to message me because we need to get you on the podcast. I don't want to see you on any other podcast before this one, my brother.
I'll be there. That's I'm definitely going to perform, and I'm going to have a lot to talk about as well. So I'm just excited, really. I'm not a big talker, but I just want to. I feel like if I perform as I can, and as people know as well, if you talk to anyone who's trained with me or whatever, they'll tell you that I should be beating guys like that. Do you know what I mean? I should be. There shouldn't be any reason why I lose to people at this level. And I've just got to believe that myself and go out and execute it. Do you know what I mean? There's no reason why I shouldn't just. Everywhere I've trained with some top level guys, and and I don't feel like I've performed yet in my MMA career either. I feel like I've beat people, but I've not done it I've not performed, like something I'm proud of, like a proud performance. I've had good wins or whatever, but I've not had good performances, which I want to see something like that for myself now.
Well, there's loads of aspects to competing, isn't there, brother? So you can have all the tools there, you can have it in your toolbox. But if you, at the time, on the day, if you don't have the mindset to open that toolbox and utilize all the tools in there, it just doesn't work. So it's the physical and also it's the mental side as well, isn't it, brother?
Yeah. Well, I started working with a sports psychologist to kind of reinforce things to me that I already knew, which is that it's kind of annoying, and you look at yourself and think, well, you already knew that. Why have you been doing that? But it's just reinforcing things, and as long as you like your mind as well plays tricks with you in a fight. Like it's you've got like people who say that they don't have them negative thoughts or they have this thought of that they're all liars. So that everyone's got something saying that you should quit here or you should whatever. Everyone's got that voice, but it's the other side of your mind that's kind of talking that bit down. And they're like always fighting, like who's going to win. But you've just got to know how to use the positive side of your brain to. Like you've got to be a good coach for yourself as well. If I was in the corner to someone and I was shouting at my teammate the things that I've had in my head in a fight, you'd be a terrible coach. You've got to now I'm being a good self coach, like a good mentor to yourself, almost talking to yourself in your mind, positive things. I feel like that's what I've got better at.
Yeah, for sure, brother. I mean, I did a podcast with the current, I think he's 5-time defending KSW heavyweight champion, which is Phil De Vries. I don't know if I'm sure you've heard of Phil.
Yeah.
And he was saying on the podcast that for years he struggled with anxiety. He was so nervous, and he'd be like, why am I even coming out? And he'd hate the walk from the changing room to the cage. It was like the gauntlet. And then when he's been able to overcome his anxiety, now he relishes it and he enjoys it. And it's a similar thing, in it, brother. It plays a big part, does the mental strategy, right?
Yeah. Like, I think it's just when you walk out, it's not like, obviously you're gonna have them negative thoughts in your mind. Like, you're fighting like a guy who's also dangerous. But if it should be no different to when I go into training. Like, obviously, if I'm sparring someone good, high quality, I will get nervous. But it's a good nerves. In it. The way you utilize them nerves is a thing. But I feel like I probably like protecting myself a bit in training. Like the past couple of years, you know, when I don't think I've made the most of myself or been intense enough, and not probably had the right mental voice, like right self-talk. Like, it's just, it's all the things that I knew, but now it's just actually doing it. So I'm much more enjoying training, sparring, I feel lots better. I feel like when the worst has happened to you, sometimes it can bring the best out of you. So it's kind of, losing is not that bad. That's what you realise. You're not protecting a record. It's not the record you're protecting, which is another pressure some fighters have. It's just trying to perform. That's all you got to do. If you perform and lose, so be it. But if you perform, you're most likely going to win.
The first time I noticed somebody using the strategy of getting someone on board to help them with their mental side was a boxing match that Chris Eubank had with Collins. Yeah, and he had he had that hypnosis going on and everything else, and he had that mindset. And it's so strong, isn't it? If you've got that mindset, it can overcome a lot of pain thresholds, right?
Yeah. And some people have that mindset anyway. They're just kind of generally aggressive and turned on people. Like, they're like, just like I say, probably Jack Cartwright. Someone is, when he gets in the cage, he's intense straight away, but he probably doesn't need a trigger to be like that. You know, he doesn't need many triggers. He's just an intense guy when he's in. But some people, probably like Wonderboy Thompson or something like that, they're not the most naturally aggressive people. But there's other ways where you have your turns. Like, there's other ways you can probably Usman as well. Usman might be quite similar. He's a thoughtful fighter. You don't have to be overly intense or like a naturally aggressive person to get them switches. And I feel like speaking to someone who understands that has definitely helped me. I feel like sparring's got anything to do with it. Just feeling great. I mean, I'm feeling fit. Like I can do the rounds and I can put it on people as well, which is it's a good feeling.
Well, brother, when it comes to June, and on that Thursday, if I'm watching you walk out, and if you come out like Diego Sanchez, and you're like, yes, and there's all spit coming down your mouth, brother, I'd be like, he's gone a bit too far, as this line.
Yeah, that's it. I'd have to be speaking to, I don't know what psychologist I'd have to be speaking to for that, but it's just, I find it quite, I found it interesting, you know, speaking to someone just like, not even, it's not rocket science. It's just it's like it's just that right voices in your head. It's like it's kind of refreshing to kind of know that why was I doing that? Do you know what I mean? Why was I doing that to myself? There's no point fighting if you're going to do that. You know, like I enjoy fighting. I like beating people. I like competing. I like winning. And I like everything that goes with competing. But I'm not. When you're in that mindset, I didn't enjoy it, but now I'm so excited to fight. Like I'm feeling, I've just got to perform. Like I said, all this training, all this talk and stuff, it's great. But again, it's just the performance that's got to count now.
Sure. Well, we look forward to it in June, my brother. Now, you've been involved in martial arts for many years, brother George. Can you share with us from a young age what sort of sports and disciplines you got to? Where did you go training? And share with us that conveyor belt that has led to where you are now.
Yeah, so I was always very good at sports. Like, there's not many things I was bad at. I feel like I probably picked a sport that I was probably the worst at the things I was doing at the time. Like probably because I enjoyed fighting more than anything. But I was good at judo, rugby, and football. They were like my main three things. I was probably better at football than I was at the other sports. But I just, like I said, I enjoyed fighting and competing. I felt like I had more, like it was. I'm better in an individual sport. Like I like doing. I like being responsible for my own actions. Like if I mess up, it's my problem. I like that responsibility myself. I don't really suffer with the pressure like that. So I think I started judo when I was like 4 or 5 in Halifax. Just a kids class. But the coach there was like real, like disciplined guy. Like used to make us do like suicides if we were talking over him or whatever. The whole class would have to do suicides to the end and stuff. It was like, but that kind of taught me, not necessarily judo, but it taught me like the discipline of something like being. I'm always polite on a mat. I'm always receptive to a coach, regardless who it is. I'm always just trying to learn, and I take training seriously. That's probably come from that. Do you know what I mean?
And where was that in Halifax, brother?
Wellesley Barracks, I think that's what they called it. It was I don't know. Is that
Army cadet place?
Yeah. There, that's where we started. And then I think there was a school on Parkinson Lane, on the other side of Halifax. But then I went to Huddersfield Judo Club. Seth and Gordon Lambert, they were the coaches there, and they were probably big influences on my like martial arts career as such. And then I went to Judo Excellence in Hebden Bridge. I was all over it, but mainly it was Huddersfield that kind of made me competitive. And then at the time I started doing MMA with Dave Butlin. That's from when I was like 12 to 13. And yeah, he was probably the biggest influence at the time.
Was that at Diggle?
Yeah. No, I was when they were at. I've forgotten the gym, but it was in Slough.
Team Quantum.
Yeah, Team Quantum. That was so, and it was like the sparring was tough. Like, but I was like the kid who was just submitting all like the older guys. You know, I was just because I was young at the time, but I was obviously experienced martial artist compared to everyone there. But yeah, I used to love training that. I think my dad used to like taking me because he liked seeing me in some good spars and stuff. He used to enjoy seeing me spar the guys over there. But yeah, Dave's been massive influence on my martial arts kind of journey. I still speak to him now, look up to him massively. So he's a like big part of my life, not just MMA.
Well, you mentioned Dave Butlin, brother. So there's those three brothers. There's Andy, Dave, and Ian Butlin, right? And whenever I used to go to shows and I used to MC at shows, and if them three brothers turned up, right, Ian Butlin, I got on really well with. You know, we'd be laughing and joking because we used to train together with Les Allen at Halifax. And then Andy Butlin, just a really pleasant guy. But Dave Butlin, he'd give you that look.
Yeah, he's intense. He's an intense guy. Like, well, I think it's just his look, but he's probably one of he's like the softest, like kindest person. Like, you know, behind that, he's very thoughtful about the people around him. But yeah, I know what you mean. A lot of people think that it's quite similar to Matt Inman. Actually, Matt Inman, people think he doesn't like you, but that's just the way he is. Like, everyone always asks me, "Oh, I don't think Matt likes me or whatever." It's just Matt. That's just Matt. He probably really likes you. He's probably really likes you. Probably if you're a decent person, he will like you. But that's just his personality. Do you know what I mean?
And did you stay at Team Quantum or did you move on from there?
Well, I had an opportunity to go to live in Birmingham to train with the GB Judo team when they were creating like a centre of excellence kind of thing. So I moved down there when I was 16, 17, and I was based there for 4 or 5 years. My coach at the time was a guy called Fitzroy Davis, he's like a real old-fashioned but like quality judo coach. That's where I learned actually to do. I feel like my best judo, like my most technical stuff, was through him. So I feel like I wasn't the best technically until I got there. I had a real good strength conditioning coach as well, Alan McDonald, which he's unbelievable. He took my training to a next level. I understood what full-time training was under them guys. But the amateur sports weren't really for me. Like, again, it took that personal responsibility away from you, where you're in that GB Judo team where it's not. Although I'm in a team now, it's kind of like you're influenced a lot by the politics of the sport. Where I don't want the politics like that. I want to earn things my own way. You're like, if you're the best, you get the opportunities. So I don't feel like anyone really gets a fair crack of the whip with judo, or maybe sometimes boxing, amateur boxing, because you're so influenced by the coaches and the politics of the time. So I just left when I was 20, 21. I moved back up there and moved to SBG Manchester.
And how long have you been with SBG, brother?
Like 4 years, 4 and a bit years, yeah. So obviously Carl was the head coach at the time, Carl Tanswell. So my first couple of years were, Matt was doing a lot of the coaching as well at the time, but Carl was like my first experience of SBG. So, and it just kind of wowed me. Like some of the stuff I learned now, I was like, I've never seen it before. Like some stuff like technical knowledge was on another level to what I've kind of seen now, especially on the ground. I just it kind of blew me away a little bit. He was a bit of a genius.
He was, wasn't he, brother? And he was a couple of steps ahead. I remember the first time I met Carl, right, was I was emceeing at a show and he was in the corner of one of the fighters, and it was at Strike and Submit in the Northeast. And his voice, Carl Tanswell's voice,
dominating, wasn't it? Yeah.
Bellow out. It was just madness, right?
Well, when I first joined SBG, I was like helping Matt prepare for his world title fight and a few big fights at the time. And I kind of respected Carl more from them because he wasn't just bringing me in as a sparring partner for Matt. He was kind of talking to me in a way that I was there for myself. I was there to get one up, not get one up on Matt, but be dominant as far as myself. I wasn't there to make up the numbers. He was there, which a lot of coaches fall into the trap of, just helping the top guys at the time, not like the youngsters or whatever, where Carl was about everyone. Carl was about, if I got better, Matt got better. And I thought and I kind of got respect for that way. In judo, it was kind of, if you were number two, you might have been the outcast, but you're still a talented athlete. And what everyone doesn't realise is if your team's strong, the number ones get better. Everyone in a team, your sparring partners influence how good you can get. So I feel like Carl really understood that about the team. So that I enjoyed it.
For sure, brother. And you mentioned Carl, you mentioned a couple of others. If you can share with us which coaches and mentors have played a significant role on your martial arts journey, who they are, and what role did they play?
I'd say Dave Butlin, definitely. Just kind of introducing me to MMA as a kind of something that kind of, I was just watching John Jones at the time. Kind of first fights I was watching were like John Jones versus Shogun. That was like maybe a couple of fights before. I was around then, so it was when I was like 14, 30, say like 13, something like that. Maybe a couple of years before Anderson, and but he introduced me, and I understood it, and I wanted to be an MMA fighter. You know what I mean? He made me want to, because I enjoyed it, and it worked me hard, and I felt like I definitely improved as a martial artist. I wanted to be a martial artist. I didn't just want to be a judo athlete or anything. He made me want to be an all-round martial artist. And Fitzroy Davis on the judo as well, 100%. Just because I don't feel like I'd have, like now, if I had to coach a judo class for SBG or something, I'm so confident in my technical ability just from what I've learned there. Do you know what I mean? I feel like I'm a good coach, because I can teach all the fundamentals of judo. I could teach someone A to Z, and I feel like that's something I'm very thankful for. And then Matt and Carl, joint just at SBG as a whole, kind of has took me to I feel like it's a journey, but I'm getting there now, and I've not been at the gym long, but I feel, compared to a lot of people maybe, but I feel like I'm getting there, and I'm definitely thankful for what Carl and Matt have done.
And SBG's there's cool gyms and there's cool coaches, and I've been fortunate. Everyone that I've been in touch with has been on the podcast. I've had Davey Grant from SBG Bishop Auckland. I'm in talks with Alex Unland from SBG South Shield, who's coming on. I've had Martin Stapleton from SBG Rochdale. I've had Matt Inman from SBG. Brother, all these SBGs are coming on.
That's it. Well, we like, it's because we like talking about martial arts. I think that's what it is. And everyone's quite similar as well in the gym. Like, we're different personalities, but everyone you talk to are just interested in martial arts. Like, we're just kind of generally like probably nerds in martial arts. It's kind of different to a lot of gyms. It's not like spit and dust, whatever you call it. Like, it's like a martial arts, pure martial arts gym where we're here to learn. Do you know what I mean? And we're there to get better and win fights. And we've all kind of got that, quite serious about what we do. We're not arrogant. We don't think we're the best. We don't think we're this. We're just trying to do things better each day. And I think that's kind of Carl's mindset. Carl might kind of made that. We're confident, but we don't think we're the best. We're kind of trying to earn it. And I feel like Davey, Enland, Matt, everyone's kind of got that same steps. Everyone's got that same mentality. Totally different coaches and different personalities, but all that single-minded on just becoming better at martial arts. That's why you're probably speaking to a lot of us.
Yeah, for sure, man. And it's just that grind, isn't it, brother? You just got to grind every day and keep working at it. Now, for you, brother, at your gym, is there any specific training partners that help in preparing you for fights, or is it people that you train on a regular basis with?
So, at the start, I was like joined SBG once the transition. So we had like Dave Graham, Alex Minogue, who's actually here with me in the office. I had Matt Inman, and like there was loads of big guys at the time. And they were like mid-30s or early 30s, whatever. And they kind of, a few of them have drifted off. So like it's now a new crop. But Matt, I train a lot with Matt generally. I try and get a lot of sparring in with over the years with like Adam Proctor from South Shields. I go over to like Team KF in Ireland and get with like James Webb, Ian Gary, Chris Fields. But most of my time is spent trying to perfect stuff with Matt. Sparring partners and training partners. Obviously, I've got quite a lot, but mostly just trying to perfect martial arts with Matt. That's kind of what most of my days are about.
Yeah, the people that you've mentioned are really cool people that I've engaged with as well, which is
yeah.
Like you mentioned the guy in Ireland, Chris Fields.
Yeah.
And he's done a podcast with me, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just really cool people, and they all tell a similar story, which is interesting to hear as well.
Yeah. I feel like the people I hang around with we all share kind of a similar mindset, which is quite cool. Chris, he's got a great gym, and he's been a world champion himself. Been on the Ultimate Fighter, KSW, Cagewarriors. He's been all over, but his kind of mindset similar to the rest of us. He's just an all. I've stayed at his house quite a bit, so I'm close with Chris, and I feel like his gym's just a good place to be. Like the training's really good. But they have a good laugh as well. So I enjoy traveling around the gyms, getting the sparring in.
Well, talking about Chris, brother, right? Out of all the fight names I've heard, right?
He's not the best one, yeah. Housewife's choice.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he's, when you walk around with him in Swords where he's based, the women do seem to like him. I can't lie, No, he's happily married. He's got he's just had a baby actually quite recently. So, but he's definitely captured the ladies.
Yeah, it was really cool, man, for him to take time out and do that podcast with him, especially when I just started doing the podcast.
He's a good guy. He'll support people just doing their thing. He'll help anyone. Him and Matt get on really well as well. Because I think they used to train with Gunny used to prepare for Gunny Nelson. Those two used to go out and train together. So I think they've been to Mexico with each other, and stayed out there for weeks on end, helping Gunny prepare. I feel like the community kind of helps each other. If you've got a big fight coming up, people will come together, and then they get them rounds in.
Now, you mentioned Gunnar Nelson, brother. I haven't heard his name for a while. Is he still on the scene? Is he still competing?
I actually don't know. I don't know. He's I haven't had the pleasure of training with him, but Matt's trained a lot with him, and he'd probably say he's the most talented martial artist he's ever trained with. Like he can twist you in knots on the ground and stuff, and it's probably his size that let him down, Joe, in the UFC, because all them guys are so big now at welterweight. But I'm not too sure. I remember one of the last fight he was getting eye poked about 5 times, so it was horrible. That was. Can't even remember who that was against, but it'd be good to see him back because I'd like to see him. Like, especially say him versus Maya or something like that. It'd be a great fight welterweight to see him twist each other up on the ground.
Well, Gunnar, his stance used to remind me of like Conor McGregor. They're kind of like leaning forward. Like, do you know what I mean?
But he didn't really. He can't. He was like he did it because his posture was so good for his shots. Like, he'd shoot underneath you, and he was so fast at it. Where he wasn't really intending to strike, like he's where Conor's doing it because he's going to counter punch you. He was kind of similar, definitely similar stances, but for different reasons. Quite interesting. But that's martial arts, and you've got like a JKD type stance where Conor's going at it, or a wide boxing stance, and you've got Gunnar doing his top, like, high level grappling. That's martial arts, isn't it?
It is, brother, and it's always evolving. I did a podcast the other day with Adam Wilson, and we were talking about stances, and he was saying the thing that messed him up on his last fight was getting the calf kicks, and that's a new evolution in MMA, right?
Yeah. Well, things become fashionable at the time. Like, whatever a top fighter does in the UFC, you'll see like the next 6 months of fight shows where it'll be popular, and then the defense will get better. Everyone will start defending it, and then somebody has to come up with something else. Then that's kind of martial arts. People like Conor hadn't defended them calf kicks, it seems, before, but next time you'd imagine he's going to come with something different, against Poirier. So, but that's the game, isn't it? That's the game.
I remember back in the days, brother, when we're talking about the Randy Couture, the Mark Coleman people, when they take people down, intentionally they'd want to get them against the cage so they could do the ground and pound, and then people found a way to defend where they'd walk the wall. So then they thought, now we need to keep him in the middle of the octagon, and it's all evolving, right?
Well, it's like they used to use a cage a lot, and they used to use like grips and controls and stuff, where now it's more about like taking posts away, hip position. You don't need the cage. You can use the cage, but it's like the Khabib, peeling wrists and things like that. That's like the next thing now. Everyone's doing that. But then people now are able to use a fence again because they just sit their back to the fence because you can't have your post stripped away for that. But that's how it evolves, isn't it? That's how we're here. When you watch the 1990s UFC compared to now, it's a totally different sport. You won't recognize it. It used to be like non-specialist martial artists back then, but now we've got I can't think of a top 10 welterweight or lightweight or middleweight or anything. They can't do everything. Like, they can do everything well, which is everyone. Yeah, they're all top level athletes, aren't they?
Well, back in the days, it were crazy times. Remember, they had that one dude with one boxing glove on.
Oh, that's what I mean. Yeah, you won't never get away with that now, would you? That's what I mean. It's a different sport. It's crazy.
And you mentioned Khabib, and you mentioned where people can kind of have their back against the cage. What Khabib introduced were people kind of picked up on, where he'd triangle just above your knees, and then he'd kind of grab your wrist on the other side and pull your arm. Yeah. You were in this world of pain, weren't you? From there?
He was there to like almost torture you in the cage. He was there to. He never put knockout punches on the ground, but he was just there to just really take your life away, like really sap all the energy out of you. And, I think his mindset's crazy. Like, I remember listening to talk to Cormier, and he was saying, like, I don't just shoot once, I shoot 10, 20, 30 times until I get the person down. It's not one move to me and that kind of made me, that's a mindset I'm trying to put into my game now, where you go for a takedown or you go for this, it might not work, but the next one, that's when it's going to work. And if you have that mindset, your opponent will always quit for a second. Like, they'll stop defending for a second, and that's where you get the advantage then. It's the first person to break that cycle of who's not going to break first.
Well, look at that fight that he had. I think it was with Barboza, and how many times he took him down.
That's it. And that fitness as well. I don't understand how somebody can be that fit. These guys he's fighting, they're not like idiots. They're not guys who've just done it for 5 minutes. They're like top level guys, and he's just making them look like they're nothing. And
the thing is, Khabib isn't a striker by trade, but look at Barboza. Look at that spinning kick he did to Terry Etim.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? If it was me, I'd be getting worried, but he just kept going in, getting in.
Yeah,
and like you said, when he took, you said, when he took him to the ground, he was just punishing him all the time.
Yeah. Well, that's it. He's like, he knows what he's good at. He's never going to try and come out and do. I think that's another thing that people get wrong. It's like we all see things in the UFC from guys who are like Barbosa or whatever. Everyone's going to copy Barbosa. Nobody's going to look at Khabib and think, I'm going to be that guy. I'm going to be the guy who gets, who's boring. Do you know what I mean? Nobody goes out and we always try and copy somebody with like fancy moves instead of the one with fundamentals. Khabib's got everything you need to win a fight. Like he's good enough with his hands. He's an unbelievable wrestler. And he's got the controls for the ground and pound. And now he can submit people as well. Like his submission game's top. But we're not copying them guys. We're copying the guy who's doing spinning back fists and jumping knees and stuff. That's kind of, but fundamentals win fights. Usman beats Masvidal. That's kind of what it is. A guy with basic striking on the feet, straight shots, and a great wrestling game all day. He's all day he's winning that fight.
For sure, brother. For sure, definitely. And you're right. People go for all the flashy stuff, and they don't go for like the basics, which, like you mentioned, with Usman and even Tyrone Woodley. He's got the grind, hasn't he?
I mean, he's on his way down. It's hard to judge someone on his last, 5 fights or whatever, because when you're in your mid-30s and you've been performing at that level so long, you can't keep that up. But it just shows if you work hard and you've got good wrestling, decent hands, you'll win fights. Definitely, you just got to keep going as well. Like keeping going is the key. Like Davey Grant has kind of proven that now. We've talked about this in the gym. We were saying like he's obviously he's had many injuries, and if you look at his record, he's not fought too many times. But the guy's stuck at it, and look, he's not sparking top 20 guys out in the UFC now. That's Davey Grant's game. That's just what he does. But he's kept going. He's never quit on what he wanted to do. And look where he's got him.
I mean, I've always had time for Davey Grant because he's always come on the podcast. I remember before he went out to Dubai, because he was on the first Fight Island one.
Yeah.
When he went out there, he was telling me about that. I think it was Martin Day who were fighting there.
Yeah.
He ended up breaking his jaw, but he did that combo. I think it was the right to the body and the left hook, and knocked him out. So he got himself $50,000, didn't he, brother?
It's not a bad day at the office, that is it. We won't mind. None of us would mind earning that type of money.
And then he does it again against, I think, was it Martinez, where he did the similar combo again, bam, bam, and won another $50,000. And like
that's what I mean. You can alter your career, can change so quick. Like I always say, at middleweight, especially, I'm only ever a couple of fights away from something big. Like I've got to a position now where I'm fighting top, decent guys. I'm only a couple of wins away from something good, and it's but it's just keeping going, and like again, just as long as you do what Davey's done to say. I mean, I would never recommend having a career like Davey's, but he's because he's punishing, and the way he trains, he's always going to get injured, which is but I feel like he's learned that as well. Experience again, he's just getting himself to fights now, and he's knocking people out. Like he's and I like seeing David do well. He's a top guy.
He's fighting again, is it, in about 7-8 weeks?
Yeah, it's not fighting. Vegas again, I think. He's smacking it. He's up for this year. He could get a couple more fights in. It's injury free, and good fingers crossed for him. I hope he gets a couple more big fights.
Couple of more bonuses, brother. Who knows?
That's it. I love seeing other people earn money. Like if I don't get jealous like that. I think he's good luck. Good luck to him. I hope he earns 10, 20 more bonuses. Whatever he wants. I hope his contract's getting bigger in the UFC as well. I hope he's getting everything he deserves. You know what I mean?
Brother, out of all the fighters that I've interviewed now, some people, at a similar level to Davey, it takes a while to get him on the podcast. Some people go on the podcast. Davey has never refused going on a podcast. No. He's been on before a fight, when he's come back and had a fight, when he's got to announce a fight, and he never ever says to me, "Oh no, safe, I'm busy." Do you know what I mean?
He's not got an ego. That's again, he's not got an ego. You should see him when he comes into the gym. He has a laugh with everyone. Like there'll be guys who are fighting. They might have a fight at the weekend on Almighty, or they might have a fight on Combat Challenge or something. But he's fighting in the UFC. Like he's he's fighting a top 20 guy in the UFC, and he'll come in and he's kind of, you wouldn't tell you the difference. He's training on the night classes sometimes, and he's just rolling with guys like a guy who's just finished an IT job or something. He's a web developer, and Davey's rolling with him. Like, he's not got an ego like that. He's you can't. Nobody cares. If Davey does well, everyone's happy. That has to be the rule. Nobody dislikes Davey.
You're right, brother, and hopefully he'll continue doing well, because he's that sort of a guy. And like you said, you want to wish him well as he.
Yeah. There's some guys where I don't look at people and think, oh, I don't want them to do well. But there's just guys that you care about doing well. Like Davey's one of them. Do you know what I mean? There's some people I don't really think too much of, like whether the win or the losing. It doesn't affect me, but. There's a lot of guys like that who make an impression on you that you really want to do well. Do you know what I mean? And he's 100% one of them.
For sure, brother. Now, one of the things I ask the athletes that come on, my brother, is I talk about their fight day routine. So when they're in the arena, they're warming up before they come out to the actual octagon. What sort of routine do you have to keep you in a certain frame of mind before you come out and compete?
I'm really good when I'm just chatting, and I like to talk to my teammates. Pretend just until it's fight time. Just pretend I'm not having a fight. Just pretend like it's a normal day, which it should, like I would do if I was sparring or anything. I just like to be a normal place, like a happy place, that kind of. I'm just chilling. I warm up very intensely with Matt, and yeah, that when I go out, I eat a few more pads. And as long as I'm sweating, I like to be hot, before I get in there, so nothing's a shock when I go out there. My lungs aren't just shocked by some hard work. That's kind of it. Staying chilled as possible. I felt.
And at what stage do you actually flick the switch, brother, where it's like game on?
Well, it was weird. Like my last fight, so I fought in Manchester in March. And then I fought in Manchester in September. One was with crowd, like a massive home crowd. One was with no crowd. And the switch was there already for when there was a crowd. Like there was already a switch. Like I got excited and I was on. Like I was felt on. And then without a crowd, I was a bit less on. But that's what I mean, because I'm not the most naturally aggressive or naturally. I feel like the crowd. I love a crowd. Like I like crowds at fights. Whenever I go to, I'm a big Josh Warrington fan, so I go to a lot of Josh Warrington fights. I've got to loads of boxing fights. I love atmosphere. Like I like people singing "Sweet Caroline" and stuff. You know what I mean? I like it being buzzing in there. So when it was a bit flat, I feel like I was a bit flat, and that's it's not good, is it? It's not a good feeling like that. But like I think. Like now I've experienced it, I know I need to turn on more myself. If I'm not in front of a crowd again, I know what I need to like. I need to switch on myself. I can't rely on a crowd to switch on for me. Do you know what I mean? I need to switch on myself.
For sure, brother. You mentioned Sweet Carolina. That reminds me of that intro that Darren Till did. That was just mad.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's it. That's what fight fans and fighters live for. Like Darren Till has lived it already. Whatever he does in his career now, I don't know whether he's never going to be happy with what he's done, but when you look at his career, he's done what a lot of fighters want to do. He's sold out an arena in his hometown. He's fought for the title. Oh, that's right, in it against Woodley. Yeah, he might struggle at middleweight because of the size of the guys. Because everyone's big at middleweight. Where he was a big welterweight, he might not be big middleweight, but he's done what every fighter wants to do. He's just not. Like I said, he's not got the title, but he's done a lot more than the guys with the title, hasn't he? Some guys with the title will never experience the like love of fans that Darren Till had.
But one thing Darren Till hasn't done, brother, he hasn't coached Perry.
Yeah. Well, that's it. Yeah, but that's another thing he's done well. He's so good at self-promotion, and he's when I look at his Twitter and stuff or his Instagram, he's a wizard at it. He just like if you had a PR manager or something, or you had a media team looking after your stuff, they would never post the stuff that Darren Till does because it's a bit bad. He says some stuff that people shouldn't say, but that's what people like. He's never going to be a clean cut guy. He's never going to be that corporate, like a corporate favourite. But that's what makes him Darren Till. That's why he's done so well.
That's right, brother. Yeah. That's why he is who he is, and Conor McGregor is who he is. Everyone has a personality.
Well, it's natural. It comes natural. People try and replicate these guys, and that's never going to be me. I'm never going to be like Conor McGregor. Like I'm just me. Like I'm a quiet guy. I just get on with my own thing. I'm not going to be a guy that is walking down in like ridiculous outfits or whatever. Which I think he looks good in. I think Conor looks good, but I think that's not going to be me. I'm going to wear things that keep me understated. But that's
so you're not going to have a suit that says "fuck off" printed in it,
I might do that. That's a bit of me. Suits like that are all right. I quite like that. I like to. Is it right that Gareth Southgate had something like that on his suit as well? Like it's coming on.
I didn't know that.
I don't know whether it was just something on Twitter but I think it's coming home on his pinstripe. So like I love all that stuff. That's a bit of me.
Well, you're right, brother, about people trying to replicate. That reminds me when Michael Bisping were fighting Luke Rockhold, and Michael Bisping can give it, and Luke Rockhold is trying to do the same, and he's like, if you believe, you achieve.
Well, that's what I mean. It's not him, is it? Like Rockhold and Weidman and all them type of guys. They are not a Bisping. Like Bisping's going to call you a tit. He's gonna say some sayings that the Americans don't understand. Call you a muppet, whatever he's going to say to you. But when you try and like force it, it's not you. Like if somebody smack talks to me, I'm not going to be that bothered, to be honest. If somebody throws hands at me, I'm throwing back. But I'm not gonna start trying to be like them. Do you know what I mean? I've not. It's just let people talk. It doesn't affect me. It really don't. I know a lot of people do talk as well, and like they try and talk. If somebody tries to talk to me or about me or whatever, it just don't really bother me. Nothing bothers me like that. I find it quite funny.
Well, the thing is, brother, you're too long in the tooth. It's not like you just started competing. You've dealt with. I'm sure you would have dealt with it through judo and rugby and other stuff.
I'm just but nothing really phases me. Like I don't get bothered by workload either. Like I like being busy. I like doing things. I'm just not affected by many things. Do you know what I mean? I'm not really I'm not that guy who's easily wobbled by anything. I'll just crack on, just doing what I do.
For sure, brother. Now, brother George, you've had loads of fights, both at amateur and professional level. From your knowledge and experience, if someone who's competing at amateur and they're wanting to step over the threshold and start competing as a pro athlete, from your knowledge and experience, what advice would you cascade down to them?
I'd say don't treat your amateur career as a career. I'd say just have amateur fights for the sake of having fights. If you can sell tickets, do it because you'll definitely get more fights and promoters will put you on, but don't do it to make money or as a career or whatever. Don't do just trying to get fights in. Just get fights, experience. Don't make it like it's a professional career, because it's not. Because once you turn professional, nobody cares about who you beat amateur. So it's just treat it as a martial arts journey. I'd probably say that's 100% the best thing to do. Don't worry about anything else. If you're thinking of turning pro, just make sure you feel like you've got all your skills ready. And that you can just walk out and perform. That's what I was saying. Don't treat it like a career, so you can just go out and perform as an amateur. Why can't you do it as a professional then? If you just walk out like any other day at the office and just beat someone up like that, you're going to do that through your pro career as well. Where I feel like because I had a lot of like expectation on me as an amateur, maybe took it too seriously. I wish I'd have maybe like relaxed a bit more and enjoyed my fights and that type of thing. And then like now I've learned a lot of the lessons as a professional. What I should have learned as an amateur. That's not because anyone rushed me or anything. That's just because of my own mindset. I probably treated it wrong, and I won't do that again.
For sure, brother. And you've had loads of amateurs, you've had loads of professional fights. Out of all those fights, my brother, is there any fight that was most rewarding? It could be some sort of adversity you've overcome, or you've had to cut weight, or you had an injury. And if there is, can you share that with us, my friend?
I think I'm gonna have to pick two fights for two different reasons. So at the start of lockdown, I fought in Manchester in front of a big crowd, and I loved that. I enjoyed competing and winning that night. Don't want to say it's my best performance, but I just enjoyed it. And then on the flip side, the Bonner fight, because I feel like it's genuinely like I've took more from that than any other fight. Like I feel like, you know, I reckon in a few years when I go past this level, I'll be thankful. Well, sooner than that, but I'm saying when I'm past this level, I'll look back and think that was a fight that got me there. Do you know what I mean? That is a fight that really turned things on its head for me, and I feel like that'll definitely happen. I think that just from that fight, I feel like that'll happen.
For sure, brother. Well, listen, George, thank you so much
for appreciate
spending time with us and, you know, sharing your knowledge and experience with us, my brother. And definitely, you're coming on board after you have your fight on the next trilogy, aren't you, my friend?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, get me on that weekend or whatever. On fight on the Thursday, say. Get me on the Saturday when when I'm home and that.
All right, George. Thank you so much. I'll catch up with you soon, my friend.
Yeah, you too, mate.
See you later.
Speak soon. Bye.